Respected President of the Association, other office bearers of the Association, it is my privilege to be here. The subject which is allotted to me is nothing but it is the recent judgments given by various courts and advanced ruling authorities. I will take only one advanced ruling authority decision. I will focus on Supreme. Voice is not there. Now voice is there. Yes. No. Dekho. Yes. Now you can hear me? Yes. Now today's topic is the recent judgments. So though I have selected some 27 judgments from Supreme Court and High Court, but the time constraint, I don't think so, doesn't permit, because I have to elaborately explain. So I have chosen some 10 important decisions on various topics, and I will elaborately discuss those, judgments along with some provisions as well as how the court has dealt and what the future recourse we have to take and what are the difficulties we are going to face on those things. Now, the first judgment, I have not prepared any kind of, because I am not acquainted with this. Just I speak. So first judgment which I have selected is the third judge's decision. There are two judges' decision has been referred to third judge on the intermediary services. Though we are well versed with the intermediary services, but I think that something more is required to be explained, needed to be understood. In my perspective, I have studied on the subject very carefully. So that's why I have picked and chosen Bombay High Court's decision first on intermediary services. That is in the matter of Dharmendra M. Jani in writ petition number lodging number 639 of 2020. I am repeating, that is in the matter of Dharmendra M. Jani, writ petition lodging number 639 of 2020, and the judgment was pronounced on 18th April 2023. 18th April 2023 judgments, latest decision. Now, you know export, import, and you are well versed with this filing compliances appearing before the authorities. So no need to go deep into the import and export. Before coming to this judgment, I would like to address some certain vital aspects. So that's why I have started with these dialogues. Import and exports. Import and export, you know, that is falling within the parameter of IGST Act, read with that Article 286. Because of that, Article 286 has been amended, and thereby this tax effect is there on import and export. However, certain subject conditions are there. You must have learned in various lectures, and you are since practical practitioners. So no need to elaborate on this. Zero rated tax is there on integrated tax under section 16, subject to certain conditions, fulfillment of conditions. Otherwise, tax is applicable on import and exports. Now, the role of an intermediary, you know that an intermediary assists or helps the person who is buying the goods from the foreign destination, foreign country, or sending the goods from India to foreign territory. So, an intermediary role is to help and assist those persons. Now, you will find section 13 contemplates some incidence of tax on these intermediaries, applicable on the intermediaries perspective. So, most important aspects you should bear in mind is that the charging mechanism. Now, there is a separate charging mechanism is provided under the IGST Act, which is under Section 5 of the Act. That in this particular circumstances, the tax will be attracted. So the charge is created under Section 5. Whereas under the CGST Act and the local acts, state GST acts, you will find in Section 9 a charging mechanism is contemplated, provided. So there are two different charging mechanism is available. So for IGST Act is concerned separately under Section 5 and under CGST, and with different incidents of tax arises by virtue of either under Section 7 of the local acts. I mean, local act here I mean CGST and SGST Act. So CGST and SGST Act incidents provides under Section 7. And similarly, under IGST Act, you will find various norms of incidences right from 11, 12, 13, you will find. So Section 13 is an incidental measure provided for levying tax on intermediate. Now the questions came up. Here the factual aspects of the matter is that one gentleman is assisting, one gentleman means here one organization maybe. One organization, a gentleman is assisting to sell the goods in foreign territory. For that purpose, he charges commission. So wherever the goods are going from India to outside the territory, then in such circumstances, he is helping them out, and directly that importer and exporter deal with. Once the goods are exported, and if once it reaches in the foreign territory, a foreign destinations, then he is entitled. Once an export is completed, I mean, then he is entitled a commission by way of his services. Similarly, if the goods are brought from outside country to India, once it is imported and received in the hands of that particular person for whom this import was effected from foreign destinations to here, so after that he is entitled to remuneration. This is the conditions contemplated. Now, intermediary services was brought under tax net under Section 13, as you are aware. So he first time argued that this gentleman, that is Dharmendra M. Jani, he argued that you cannot impose tax under the local law. Local law means CGST Act or SGST Act by bringing or by importing incidence mechanism provided under the IGST Act. So IGST Act is completely a different mechanism, charging mechanism, incidence mechanism is contemplated there. Here also a different incidence and charging mechanism is there. So you cannot import under the garb of residuary. If anything is not defined, anything is not provided in any other act, in that act, then this can be imported under garb of that. You cannot bring the basic charging or incidence mechanism here. You can't import. That was the whole crux of the matter there before Honorable Bombay High Court. So a different view and opinion came from the two judges. Therefore, it has been referred to a third judge, and third judge has given a very minutely decision on this, keeping in mind this charging mechanism aspects and incidence mechanism aspects, and had delivered this judgment and stated that this commission, which you are so-called commission in the agreement which you are calling, that is already inbuilt, a subsummed in the main consideration amount. If you are importing a goods, the foreign person, the foreign party who is sending the goods, he has already added everything. What are the things are to be added? No, the consideration amount, transportation charges, insurances, commission, everything is subsummed. So therefore, you cannot segregate this commission component separately and impose tax under the CGST Act or a GST Act under the name of intermediary services by bringing the incidents which has arisen under the IGST Act. So therefore, it is completely a wrong notion. So it is nothing but it is a double taxation. In that way, they have concluded. And while concluding this judgment, they kept in mind another judgment of Supreme Court. Supreme Court, in the matter of Union of India versus Mohit Mineral, it's a famous judgment. Mohit Minerals judgment, we know. That is ocean freight. In the ocean freight's case, so they have laid down a principles in the ocean freight's case. They have laid down the case that this insurance and freightage is inbuilt with the price component already together. You cannot segregate each and every part and bring into the incidence chapter and levy tax. I will come in the later course, this ocean freight, but keeping in mind that principle only, in this matter, they said that this intermediary services which you are calling and charging tax on the commission, that can't be leviable because the incidence and the charge mechanism is there already under the IGST Act, and tax is leviable on intermediary services on the IGST, wherever you are imposing a tax under the CGST and SGST, stating that the person who is providing services is situated in India. On that, under that garb, you are levying tax, which is absolutely contrary to the mechanism which has been brought under the GST regime. So they have made two independent enactments, one IGST and other is that CGST and SGST. So you cannot bring such charging and incidence mechanism here and levy tax. Before incorporating, I mean, before you are imposing any tax, you have to see your own charging provision. You have to see your own incidence mechanism. Then you levy tax, not beyond that. So in that way, they have finally concluded this particular, judgment by Honorable Bombay High Court, the third judge in the matter of Dharmendra M. Jani. In the later course, we will discuss also. You please note it. If any queries on these particular aspects, we will discuss in the later course. Let me complete first some 10-15 judgments, then we will discuss. I think no need to read the relevant paragraph of the judgment. You will read on from this particular judgment, and the relevant paragraph you may note, which I found is factual aspect is paragraph 6 and 7. Then paragraph 87, 88 is the observations, most important observations. Then paragraph 97, and they have relied on various judgment and concluded. So intermediary services cannot be brought so far the qua import and export. I am not talking about any other aspects. Intermediary services may be various types, various natures, like interstate sale, intermediary services as an agent is undergoing interstate from one state to another. There, I am not touching. Here, import and exports was the issues. Keeping in mind this import and export under the scheme under the IGST Act, they have concluded. So please keep in mind, so far as the import and export is concerned, intermediary services they have allowed. This principle may not be hold good so far as other intrastate transactions are concerned. Now, the second judgment, most important judgment, I feel that nowadays this provisional attachment is taking place. So the revenue is, in day out, making, provisional attachments lightly. So this judgment of Honorable Supreme Court, thereafter various High Court decision of our own High Court, Bombay High Court has also came. 2-3 judgments. But the Supreme Court, Honorable Justice Chandrachud, Chief Justice, has concluded this judgment very in the state of this Himachal Pradesh, Radhakrishnan Industry versus state of Himachal Pradesh. I'm repeating, Radhakrishnan Industries versus state of Himachal Pradesh. Civil appeal number 1155 of 2021. 1155 of 2021 and judgment dated 20th April 2021. Now, provisional attachment. Why it is called provisional? It is not attachment, it is a provisional attachment. If revenue feels that the person who has evaded tax, he will run away from the liability, then to protect the interest of the revenue, it is needed, a provisional attachment is needed to be made. Attachment may be either movable or immovable. So, if attachment is made, provisionally attachment is made, then in such circumstances, then what are the steps is needed to be taken? What are the rights and liabilities of the both the parties? That has been discussed in this. As you know, that section 83 of the CGST Act contemplates, section 83 of the CGST Act contemplates provisional attachment. As I pointed out, to protect the revenue's interest, a provisional attachment is needed, but the circumstances should make that the provisional attachment is needed, otherwise that tax evader will run away. So on that count, the provisional attachment is required to be made under section 83, and that is valid for a period of 1 year, not beyond that. Now, a rule is there, that rule 159. Rule 159 is a parallel rule to section 83. Contemplates the mechanism and procedural part for such provisional attachment. Here, before initiating any provisional attachment, an opinion is required to be drawn first. Now, that opinion is to be drawn by a particular rank officer, that is Joint Commissioner is designated here. So, Joint Commissioner has to draw an opinion that provisional attachment is needed to protect the revenue's interest. So, once he has drawn, a clear written note is to be prepared on that. First, his opinion is to be drawn. A clear written note is required to be prepared. Then, after preparing that written note, a provisional attachment can be made. So here, the party who is other side, I mean, once a provisional attachment is made to any particular property, the persons whose property is provisionally attached, he is authorized to raise an objection. This is most important part. Please ध्यान में रखिए. He has a right to put his grievances within 15 days before that particular officer who has, I mean, provisionally attached the property. Why I am repeating this particular part? In number of cases, today only some before Honorable High Court, I have some matters about these provisional attachments. So there also what they did, they have not raised any objections. Although 4 months or 5 months has been, I mean, lapsed, still objection was not raised. So the most important part is within 15 days, you raise an objections against this provisional attachment. If your objection is not dispensed or rejected, then you have other remedies. But if you are not raising any objections, then directly jumping to the writ by way of writ jurisdiction order, the court may not allow. So one condition is that you have to raise an objection. First is drawing an opinion. Then second, a written note is must. Written note or communication why provisional attachment is needed. And third is objection and dispensing of objections. Now, thereafter, if objects, in spite of these facts, if any property is attached, then in such circumstances, that attachment is valid up to a period of 1 year. In the facts of this matter, in the matter of Radhakrishnan Industries, first a provisional attachment was made, an objection was raised. The objection was dispensed in 2-3 lines. There is no written note why it is compulsory, mandatory. And some not belongs to this particular gentleman whose tax number is there, TIN number is there, not his property, some other properties are attached. So this, without rejecting, without giving any solid, concrete written opinion, so that provisional attachment was made. Thereafter, it was withdrawn. And after 1 year, again an attachment is made provisionally. So that matter went up to reach it up to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that each and every attachment you have to write reasons in clearly stating each and every attachment a separate. You have to write a written note and you have to draw an opinion. Then only attachment can be treated as a valid attachment. And if an objection is raised, then that objections is required to be dispensed. All these 3 things are not complied in the second attachment proceedings. So therefore, Supreme Court has struck down and laid down principles that before provisional attachment is doing, a written note and a communications to that party who is, suffering, then his objection is required to be noted and dispensed, then only the attachment can be made, and that too valid for 1 year. So in that way, they have concluded this judgment. So wherever you find that a provisional attachment is there, you ask a written why provisional attachment is needed. I am sitting over here. You raise all these objections. And how you have drawn an opinion, you ask these questions to the authorities. Then you can challenge that part. Still, if it is not, goes in your favor.
Provisional can be only limited to that liability only.
Limited to that liability only. That's why drawing an opinion and a written note in respect of that liability is needed, must.
But when they freeze the bank account only, they don't.
They freeze the bank account only.
Then you may be having like crores of rupees. Your liability may be only 9 lakhs.
Only restricted. Then that's why during this objection, it's a valid questions. That during pendency of a proceeding, if you raise an objection and that objections you may offer some, security. See, I am having a 5 crore in my bank account, and in my credit ledger also I am having 50 lakh rupees. Your liability is 2 crore rupees. So you please adjust to 50 lakh rupees first. Then from out of this huge amount, you can adjust 1.5 crore. Otherwise, I will give a bank guarantee also in this respect. So you raise your objections. That's the sole object behind this. Raising an objections. So you bring your case before him, so that they will have to raise. Otherwise, you have no other options rather than to go to higher forums. Yes, important questions. In the VAT regimes, the question is whether CC or overdraft account can be attached. These questions came up in various proceedings under the Maharashtra Value Added Tax Act. I have some 3-4 judgments on this issue. So it is based, one important judgment pronounced by the Honorable Supreme Court under Income Tax Act, Narang Hotels case, that is very famous case, Hotel Narang's case, provisional attachment case. So till date, in fact, Bombay High Court relies on that judgment, and CC is not your property. It is a mercy of the bank. Maybe some undertaking, some guarantee, something is taken, some sort of agreement you have entered. But CC, cash credit facility, overdrawn facility is given by the bank. So that is the property belongs to the bank, not your property. So property of the SSC property of the taxpayer is needed to be attached under these mechanisms, tax mechanisms. So the property belongs to the other can't be attached. Now say, once it is attached, CC or OD account is attached. Now what is the recourse? That's why this objection mechanism is there. You assist your bank and direct your bank, instruct your bank, he will raise an objection that see, no positive balance is available in my EA. It is a CC account, it is an OD account. You cannot attach because the section contemplates that the property of that particular asset is needed to be attached. So herein, it is my property. So bank has to raise an objection. You also raise an objection as well as ask your bank in such circumstances to raise an objection. Correct?
Time limit for that, please.
15 days. 15 days time limit is provided. Once a provisional attachment is made, 15 days. Now the question delay can be condoned or not, that is a subject matter. Okay. But 15 days time limit, you raise your objection.
And that officer is supposed to reply on that within how many days? That is important. See, they may just keep it like this. And your bank is freeze for.
No. So here every time limit is prescribed. Within 30 days, they have to reply. Form is also DRC 022. It's a very good question. That's why I'm taking two. See, the attachment is to be made in a particular form. Objection is to be raised in a particular form. Then order is needed to be passed by the authority also in a particular form. All the forms are prescribed under Rule 159. So this is most important fact. Nowadays, because without following all these mechanisms, they are simply attaching. So the forms are prescribed. One by one, that 159 में कितना है? See, GST, DRC 22 and then 23. So as for Rule 159, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the forms prescribed under which you have to apply. I think under the GST law, I'm not a compliance lawyer, so I don't know. But each and every notices is to be replied in a particular formal. Everything is to be replied in a form only. होटल नारंग का immediately नहीं, वो मारेंगे आ जाता है होटल नारंग का, अभी immediately नहीं है. There are several judgments are there. बहुत सारे हैं. बाद में तो Justice Chandrachud has given so many judgments during VAT और हवाला डीलर के टाइम पे on CC and DA.
So this is the also
Yes, that is the principle laid down. A property of an SSC is needed to be attached.
assets can be attached, not liability.
Not liability. So that property belongs to somebody else. How it can be attached? So for that purpose, it is a good thing under the GST law that a raising of an objection mechanism is provided, which was not there in the earlier laws. So you raise an objection within 15 days. Ask your bank also to address. Now the third.
Then the concerned officer is to reply within 2 months. So that is that I think.
30 days, no?
30
Time limit.
days.
Time limit is prescribed. He has to reply. Otherwise, he has to vacate that attachments. And if it is not dispensed, then generally लोग क्या करते हैं, चुपचाप बैठ जाते हैं. Then there is no other alternative rather than to jump to the directly Supreme High Court and rely on this judgment. Supreme Court has laid down very clear guidelines and principles to both the sides in case of provisional attachment. Now, next is the judgment in the matter of Union of India versus Bharti Airtel Limited and others. Bharti Airtel Limited and others in SLP number 8654 of 2020, 8654 of 2020, and judgment dated October 28, 2021. This is most interesting and day-to-day practice it is applicable. Suo motu curing the defect in the returns, and the suo motu curing the defects in the returns and the computation mechanism provided under the Act, whether it is permissible or not on that question. So High Court has held that. See what happened. A circular issued some way back, that was circular number 26 of 2017 GST, dated 29th December 2017, was under challenge. In that circular, various guidelines were provided. There they said when it can be rectified, where suo motu rectification is permissible, all these aspects were categorized. Now, is suo motu rectification, whether it is permissible, because the system and technical glitch doesn't allow you to cure such defects, whatever may be the defect arose. Here he has wrongly, entitled some crores, 500 or 900 something crores rupees of refund. But because of this system generated things, he could not cure the defect and he is debarred to claim such benefits of refunds. Then he approached directly to the High Court. High Court has agreed, Delhi High Court. Delhi High Court has said, yes, curing of defect. Oh, busy hai ekdam, petition draft kar rahe. So Delhi High Court has allowed to cure the defect under the garb of that technical glitch is there. On technical glitch, and if the system doesn't allows, then you can claim, you can suo motu cure your defect. For that purpose, High Court has permitted. Then the matter jumped to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said no, suo motu you cannot. GST is a mechanism provided. Everything is auto generated and auto populated. So system oriented things. Even the assessment is to be completed in the system itself. So if you are self curing any defect, it has an adverse impact and effect on the other persons, because it is an indirect taxation. Each and every stage tax is leviable. Input tax is credit to be claimed. Somebody is claiming refund. All these, it will affect to the other parties. That's why a mechanism is provided so that a self-regulations is to be made, a thorough checking, cross and check and cross balance is to be maintained. For that purpose, they are, this taken the assistance of this technology. And if you yourself is suo motu rectifying anything, then it have a larger effect and impact on the others side also. So that is not permissible. So the language used by Honorable Supreme Court, you please see that observations. I'm reading for your benefit, paragraph 47. Significantly, the registered person is not denied of the opportunity to rectify the omission or incorrect, particularly which he could do in the return to be furnished for the month or quarter in which the omission or incorrect particulars are noticed. Thus, it is not the case of a denial availment of ITC as such, if at all. It is only a postponement of availment of ITC. The ITC amount remains intact in the electronic credit ledger, which can be availed in the subsequent returns, including the next financial year. It is a different matter that despite availability of funds in the electronic credit ledger, the registered persons opt to discharge cash payment, through this cash ledger. That is a matter of option exercised by the registered persons on which the tax authority have no control. whatsoever, nor they have any role to play in this regard. Further, there is no access provision permitting sweeping of entries effected in the electronic cash ledger, vice versa, electronic cash ledger, vice versa. Despite such an express mechanism provided by section 39(9), read with rule 61, it is not open to the High Court to proceed on assumption that only remedy that can be enabled to the SSC to enjoy the benefit of the seamless utilizations of the input tax credit is by way of rectification of its return submitted in form GSTR 3B for the relevant period in which the error has occurred. Any unilateral change in such returns as per the present dispensations would have a cascading effect on the recipients and suppliers association with the concerned transactions. There would be a completely uncertainty and no finality could ever be attached to the self-assessment returns filed electronically. We agree with the submission of the appellant that any indulgence shown contrary to the statutory mandate would not only be an illegality, but in reality would simply lead to choke the situation and collapse of the tax administrations of the union, state and union territory. So इधर कहना ये है सर, ये वेरी भारी पड़ेगा, खाली आपका ये sumotor rectification के लिए नहीं है. Supreme Court has laid down certain principles. This says that once tax administration is governed on electronically and it has the impact on other sides, various persons, various other, in the chain, you sumoto cannot cure any defect. Court should not permit. It is in the tax administration only they have to bring some solutions so far these aspects. But courts should not interfere and take measures on these issues. So that is so various aspects on the grounds of technical glitches which you claimed and allowed, that is not permissible what the court says. So for this Honorable Justice Khanwilkar's judgment, this is, I think, after that system doesn't permit, I think, आपका ये में कुछ भी cure defect करने के लिए earlier things is not allowed. ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट का है जजमेंट, बॉम्बे को अपने दिल्ली impacting others. That distinction can be made wherever it affects, because indirect taxes normally the thought is that it affects to various persons. In the direct taxes, it is on the particular persons. So keeping in mind this aspect may be judgment. If you can distinguish these factors, then they may think in another directions.
Actual justice.
As वो एक अभी जजमेंट दिए ना अपना ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट है, राहुल का ही मैटर था, राहुल का बोमाबोमी कर रहा था उधर बहुत. तो in that judgment then ultimately went to Supreme Court and Supreme Court has elaborately allowed on technical glitches and ये सब अपलोड नहीं कर पाते थे, वो सब बहुत सारे हैं, सबको फायदा हो गया. So they have something distinguished but at the larger interest. ऐसा individual cases में आप directions मत दो, that is the whole intentions ये case में कहने का. Ocean freight case, you know that freight charge is already subsumed or inbuilt in the total cost. Once that is subject matter of tax while importing, because the invoice which is raised by the foreign party, it includes everything, insurance, freight, and your cost, and until it reaches to your place. Then you are filing a bill of entry, which is subject matter of levy of IGST. So court has said that it includes each and everything. Now you are segregating that freight component, and under the name of ocean freight, you are levying under a tax under the IGST, which is absolutely incorrect. It is not permissible at all. It subsumed everything. So that is the judgment of ocean freight. Union of India, and another versus Mohit Minerals. That is civil appeal number 1390 of 2022, 1390 of 2022, and the judgment is dated 19th May 2022. 19th May 2022. A judgment in the matter of this Hajj group organization. Hajj committee is there. Hajj. So these pilgrims who are going to the Hajj, there are various organizations are there. So these organizations are assisting and helping these pilgrims to attend the religious place, that is Hajj. So now the question is having utmost importance, that Hajj group of organizations whether performing religious ceremony, because the exemption is granted to the religious ceremony. So religious ceremony, who is performing and who is helping, they are exempted. And those who are indirectly assisting to those organizations, I mean, suppose Hajj committee is there in India. There are various committees, names they have mentioned, like under the Ministry of External Affairs, Human Mandal Vikas Nigam Limited, a state committee, Hajj committee, then a various Hajj group of organizations are there. So those Hajj committees, those who are really performing this act, they are being exempted. But some tour operators are there, some agents are there. These are the organizations are there. They are called Hajj group of organizations, HGOs. So this matter went to Supreme Court. On this, those who are assisting in traveling, tour operators, specifically for the Hajj pilgrims, whether they are exempted or not, this question came. Now this question went up to Supreme Court. Supreme Court had said each and every organization who is assisting, they are not exempted from tax. Specifically, those group or those committee who are actually performing this job of providing, I mean, performing that religious ceremony directly connected. So they are only exempted, not each and every person's, though well recognized, known, registered everywhere under a particular category, that is a trust or whatever it may be, but they are not falling within the parameter of this. So equally applicable to various religious group organizations. So far this judgment is concerned. Various organizations. Maybe it is, say Mahavir, say Krishna, say हमारा ये क्या बोलते हैं, हाँ शिरडी बोलिए आप, ISKCON temple बोलिए, everywhere this fundamental principle will apply. So this is also an important judgment, and this judgment's name is All India Hajj Umrah Tour Organizers Association Mumbai. All India Hajj Umrah Tour Organization Association Mumbai versus Union of India in reported in 2022 live law, Supreme Court 632. 2022 live law 632 reported. This is dated 26th July 2022. 26th July 2022. So equally applicable. So they have fundamentally explained what is religious ceremony and who is actually performing religious ceremony. Whether each and every person who is assisting in the religious ceremony, whether they will fall within the parameter or not, this aspect has been explained and ultimately concluded that the core group is exempted and not each and every person. So it is applicable to each and every religious ceremony organizations. That's why this is an important judgment. You all fundamentally knows that the scheme of the GST law. That is the IGST Act is there. Then CGST, SGST Act is there. Under the CGST and SGST Act, each and every transaction of supply of services or supply of goods is subject matter of levy of tax, provided that council has to recommend a by way of notification certain categories specifying each and every item under which category it is to be taxed, which is known as tariff entries under the CGST and SGST Act. Whereas, so far as IGST Act is concerned, it is an interstate nature. Interstate includes export import. So that nature of supply of goods and services is taxable under the IGST Act. Now, whole question is goods, supply of goods and supply of services is the subject matter of levy of tax. Subject matter is goods or services. Half-heartedly defined, to my opinion, this is half-heartedly defined everywhere. If you say a lottery, a game of chance, a betting, a gambling, a online gaming facilities, all these aspects, I mean, is half-heartedly defined from the Bombay sales, local sales tax regimes, 1935 Act and regimes. If you see, these are actionable claims. Now, all these actionable claims are normally in our accounting standard or in the law is the goods. However, legislature is in their wisdom is permitted to make a classification. Even if it is a goods, that can be categorized under service category. And some sort of mixed services and goods can be termed as services. Some mixed services and goods also can be termed as goods. And those who are not goods and services can also be termed as goods or services. ऐसी mechanism हमारी law में है, tax law में. So actionable claim अगर goods है, you see under actionable claims are goods, intangible properties, incorporeal properties, they all are goods. But legislature in their wisdoms, in view of section 7, incorporated 2 to 3 schedule entries. Schedule entry 1, schedule entry 2, schedule entry 3. In under schedule 2, they said that although it is goods, you have to treat it as services. For that purpose, they brought an entry in the schedule 2. Like trademark, patent, copyright, software. So they brought such type of, wherever composite nature are there, majority component may be a services or goods like works contract, construction services. They said that no, by force you say that it is a service by virtue of schedule 2. So this is the completely a scheme, and schedule 3 exemptions apply. Neither it can be treated as a supply of goods nor supply of services. So the question came up before Honorable Supreme Court whether lottery can be taxed. If it is taxed, then whether a clear, reasonable classification is there, lottery and other actionable claims. Distinction is there or not? And if it's there, then to what extent is to be taxed? These 3 questions came up before Honorable Supreme Court in the matter of Skill Lotto Solutions Private Limited. Repeating, Skill Lotto Solutions Private Limited versus Union of India in civil writ petition number 961 of 2018 and judgment dated 3rd December 2020. 3rd December 2020. All these 3 questions. First questions, when it is called as a goods, how can you call it as services? That is the first question raised. Second, say in the legislature with wisdom, you call it as services. That is your wisdom. Then, whether you can make a distinction between lottery and other actionable claims. Because you have picked and choose 3 things. other actionable claims are exempted from tax. Other actionable claims, if you see in Schedule 3, appended to the GST Act, they have granted certain exemptions. Now the exemptions are other than lottery, betting and gambling. Lottery, betting and gambling is subjected to tax, and for that purpose, a provision was made under Rule 31A, and they contemplates the mechanism of computing the liabilities. So the second question was whether this is a intelligent differences between two under Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. Intelligent differences between these two, like lottery, betting, gambling, and other actionable claims. Why you are different? This is not an intangible. Intelligent differences between these three. And fourth is valuation mechanism was also challenged. How you are how can you levy tax when you are taking a face value, then you are reducing, you are giving a bifurcated face value you cannot take. All these three has been, not accepted by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that within the legislature wisdom, they can bring tax into, once you say that it is under the charging mechanism, every supply of goods and supply of services is subject matter of levy of tax. Then this is nothing but it is a goods, but they are calling it as a services. So there is no wrong in choosing that it is can be treated as a services. And it is taxed right from the very beginning. Assam case hai, bahut sare hai. There are number of judgments on the lotteries are there. Hansraj. There are various judgments are there, Supreme Court. So their lottery can be taxed. All these mechanisms are available. So there's nothing new to this tax world. They, in that way, they have concluded. And there is a clear, intelligent differences between the others, which are segregated, like online gaming, online betting, online things. They have made a separate class. And third, the valuation mechanism also they had hold perfectly in this judgment. So various actionable. What I mean to say, if other actionable claims are brought under the tax net and the valuation mechanism is provided, then it is a support to the tax regime. To the tax administrations, not to the SSC. Now, number of cases cropped up before various courts where this face value, you cannot levy tax like a. आप अगर ये क्रिकेट का बैटिंग गेम खेलने को जाते हैं, ऑनलाइन में अपलोड करते हैं, तो कुछ पैसा आप जमा करना पड़ता है. आई थिंक सपोज 200 रुपया जमा किए, एंड इफ यू विन यू विल एंटाइटल 2 लाख रुपया मिलेगा. ठीक है ना. तो क्वेश्चन इज, जो 200 रुपया जमा किए आप, वो जो एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जो ये सब कर रहा है, तो वो 200 रुपया का ऊपर टैक्स देना चाहिए कि नहीं देना चाहिए? तो उसके लिए उन्होंने रूल लाए लॉटरी, बेटिंग, गैम्बलिंग के लिए, that certain portion of lottery, betting, gambling is subject matter of tax. But उनकी कहना है कि हमको पूरा ये 200 रुपीज के ऊपर मिलना चाहिए. If somebody is providing a platform, that prize money is to be excluded. Suppose 100 rupees is taking that organizations from you for his platform fee. So he is providing some services to, enroll yourself and to enter into the game. And another 100 rupees he is giving, which is distributed as a prize money distribution, which is actionable claim. So these questions came up in various cases, including, कौन सा केस है ये? नहीं, अपना Dream 11. The matter came up in the Dream 11, this issue. When you are depositing 200 rupees, if he is taking a platform fees, 100 rupees, on which tax is imposed and tax is paid, and on balance 100 rupees is not paying tax. So this question came up before various courts, Rajasthan High Court, Punjab High Court, Maharashtra, Bombay High Court. This issue came up. Court has said whether all actionable claims are subject matter of a levy of tax. Answer is no, because exemption is granted in Schedule 3, except lottery, betting, and gambling. So these are nothing but prize distributions made, it is nothing but it is an actionable claim. It cannot be taxed. So the prize money which is distributed, that component cannot be brought under tax net unless you bring a specific charging mechanism like lottery betting and everything. Correct. So in that context, this is helpful to you in skill locals. Most important, various queries are coming from various association, mainly Sangli Association. Investigation proceedings are carried out by various agencies parallelly. Various authorities are carrying investigation proceedings parallelly. पहले आप जीएसटी अपना वैट रेजिम में देखे होंगे, इधर से इशू बेस्ड नोटिस आता है, उधर रेगुलर असेसमेंट, उधर एनफोर्समेंट वाला विजिट करके और एक नोटिस देता है, उधर ट्रांसफर ऑफ प्रोसीडिंग किया आता है, तो 3-3, 4-4 जगह पे हमको अटेंड करना पड़ता था। बाद में भले वो धीरे धीरे उसको स्ट्रीमलाइन में लाए, यही सिचुएशन इधर है। नाउ पैरेलल इन्वेस्टिगेशंस, नाउ डीडी डायरेक्टर ऑफ इन्वेस्टिगेशंस सिटिंग इन दिल्ली, रेवेन्यू DGCI, no? DGGI. They are having the investigation power, number one. Number two, our local authorities, they have the investigation power. CGST Act commissionerate is having the power to investigate you. So all three people are having power to investigate throughout India. A Delhi authority can come to enter into your premises. DGGI can enter and he can investigate. You cannot challenge also that why Maharashtra authority not came or why our central local authority can't has not come. If Sangli Pune authority से क्यों नहीं आए? ये questions normally आता है. In the beginning, all authority has entered in the premises, and for the same subject matter, अगर ITC issue, अगर 50 ITC, you have taken ITC from 50 parties. तो DGGI आया, बोला मैं 20 पार्टी का किया, सेंट्रल एजेंसी आया, ये 20 में से 5 और 15, स्टेट आया, ये 20 में से 5, ये 15 में से 5, स्टेट अथॉरिटी, और जो बच गया मैं कर दूं. So whether this is permissible, this questions came up. So various high courts, including Delhi High Court, one of the important judgments I am giving, that is RCI Industries and Technologies Limited, RCI Industries and Technologies Limited versus Commissioner of DGST, Delhi. In CM Appeal number 375 of 2021, writ petition number 121 of 2021, judgment dated 7th January 2021. Court had said that on the same subject matter, only one investigating authority can do. If subject matter differs, then the other authority can come. So, if a state authority is entered your premises with ITC issues, let them conclude in each and every aspects. If a center authority entered, don't go the state authority on the same subject. Maybe on different subject you can go, but not on the same subject. Now the second questions came up. DGGI Delhi has investigated whether they can adjudicate. Adjudicate means assessment कर सकते हैं क्या? Now no, answer is no. DGGI Delhi, when an investigating authority, their scope is up to only to the show cause notice until the show cause notice is issued. Once the show cause notice is issued, then let it go to the local DGGI officer to adjudicate the matter. Otherwise, it is very difficult that you will attend to the Delhi. From Sangli to, you have to attend that. So keeping in mind this aspect, they said until the show cause notice, investigation is made, then show cause notice is issued, till that point of time, they are having the power. And rest adjudications and appellate jurisdiction and everything will come under your local area. If it is a Sangli area, Kolhapur area, then Pune. If it is Mumbai, then Mumbai. Then in suburban, Thane. All these areas are given. So after show cause notice, they have to forward the show cause notice to the adjudicating authority in the local territory and they have to conclude. But that issue remains, I mean, intact, that if a particular subject is chosen and investigation is taken care by a state authority, for example, then neither the DGGI nor the central agencies can enter into in premises for the same subject. That is intact. Similarly, vice versa, which is concluded by Delhi High Court and incorporated certain circulars and provisions also in this. You can go through that. The most important aspects, then they said that diluted adjudications can be concluded by the local authority. This power has been taken, and adjudications once DGGI made, even DGGIE can assess you. Earlier concept was liberal. If a DGGI issued a show cause notice, that can be directly go to the CGST officer or a DGGI officer, they can adjudicate you, then you can go in the normal appeal course and all these things. Now, by this amendment from April onwards, if a DGGI is investigated, issued a show cause notice, DGGI can adjudicate you, but local, I mean, the local DGGI will adjudicate your matter. It is not the case that you have to attend every time to Delhi authorities, central authority, if he is investigated. So local authority can be adjudicated because that power was taken earlier because of the proper officer. The term used was proper officer. So they have taken back this particular aspects and incorporated this mechanism that if a DGGI investigated to you, that DGGI has the power to adjudicate the matter, but the local DGGI. They have to transfer the case to the local DGGI. Earlier, which was bar was there, proper officer was there, that has been taken away in this amendment from April 23 onwards. So you have to keep in mind this as well. But that remains intact, one subject, one authority.
But what is the meaning of initiation of proceedings? When the High Court says who will first initiate the proceeding? What it means? Giving on the basis of who made some 20-25.
Correct.
Merely.
Merely, good question. The proposal which was made by the authorities should be very specific, clean, clear. Merely a form of summons issuing and calling for attendance is not an initiation of the proceeding. Various courts' decision is there. Merely issuing a summons, cyclostyled formal summons, is not an initiation of the proceeding. Civil procedure code, it is to be correlated because it's a very wide subject. Summon, investigations, arrest, it is correlated with the CPC, civil procedure code, and criminal procedure code. So I'm not touching those aspects, broadly highlighting. Under the civil procedure code, very clean, clear method and mechanism is provided under the rules and orders of the CPC, saying that when a summon is issued, we should specify what is the contents of the summon, why he should attend to you, and when should attend. And if not attended, what are the consequences? But here, they are simply calling that we are investigating, you attend. That is not permissible at all. You can challenge. So when a specific summon is issued to you, saying that your books of accounts on the system, on the portal shows that you have effected purchases from so and so person or you have sold to so and so person, and those persons are fraudulently or indulging some malpractices, thereby there is a defraud of revenue. And that we have conducted an investigation proceeding against that particular person, and your attendance is necessary to give as a witnesses to give the statements. If such sort of notices or summons are coming, then it is a specific and you are bound to attend, and then initiation of proceeding can be said that it is initiated, because any proceeding includes a summon proceeding, calling a person to attend, to give witness, to give statements is also a proceedings. Proceeding means not adjudication proceedings only. So but it should be in consonance with the law and mechanism provided. Simply giving a cyclo-styled format, you come and attend to me on so and so date, then it is not a initiation of the proceeding. So if it is in consonance with the act and rules, summons procedures, civil procedure code, then it is an initiation of the proceeding.
Here is the office of employees. Various as the office of employee has inquired something. And they have
Informed.
given to the headquarters on the reports. And on the basis of that reports, headquarters has issued a show cause notice. And in the meantime, state has also initiated a proceeding under section 672.
Correct.
So what is the meaning? Who has conducted?
If a summon or so-called notice is issued on the basis of information received from the audit agency, and that notice is very clean and specific, contains each and every aspects, then they have seized the matter and they have initiated the proceedings. First, suppose I have attended number of matters. One of the client has been paid visit by the state authority. Audit notice was received from the central agencies that we are coming to conduct the audit in order to verify correctness of the claims and the correctness of the tax liability shown in your returns. This is the notice received. After 3 months, state agency has directly entered into the premises. Then after 3 days, they have issued a notice saying that these parties are to be in the suspicious. We are thinking that suspicious tax is not came to treasury. You have claimed ITC, and therefore we are conducting further investigations in the matter. You come and attend the proceeding. Now, who has initiated the proceeding? This question comes in. So I have challenged. Then central agencies जाग गए, वो बोल रहा है, अरे स्टेट ले ले रहा है ये क्रेडिट, हम तो ऑडिट के लिए पहले दिए थे नोटिस. So they wrote a letter to our commissioner. This happened. Our commissioner means the commissioner of state. They have issued a letter saying that we have already on that issue. So मैं थोड़ा काड़ी मना. तुम बोला किधर किए? बताओ, पूछो क्या दिए? Ask him to. No, audit inquiry was conducted. So I said that in the audit inquiry, this is the notice. I have addressed a letter in view of Delhi High Court decision and some rules and sections I have quoted, saying that they have not at all initiated the proceeding. You initiated the proceeding because your subject is made you clear that these are parties. A overall audit notice was issued by them. So they have not initiated any proceeding at all. It is only a simple notice issued to look into the overall aspects, so that they cannot seize the matter. It should be very clean and specific. On that basis, the state authority has exhausted the power, got the jurisdictions and taken care of the adjudication proceeding, and appeals are lying. So they have dropped there. ठीक है, और बहुत सारे जजमेंट है. अगर ये इश्यू में रहेंगे तो बहुत कुछ
क्लियर नहीं हो पाया.
thin line between that. Initiation of the proceeding on the subject. Subject here means the specific subject. A mechanical summon, if it is issued, a mechanical letter, a mechanical audit notice is issued, then it is not an initiation of
Right,
proceeding.
based on some inquiry. and
Maybe.
investigation of other
That is
parties,
at their doorstep.
the,
Simple notice. So if so-cause notice is issued, then they have seized the matter. They are having the power. Then no other authority under
But state has initiated under section 67.
doesn't matter. Since if it is a so-cause notice and they have clearly laid down, then they have seized that matter. Then state cannot encroach in that area. Bar. So in the same subject, agar other subject agar hai, then they can come.
So what they say, if the so-called notice is issued, then so-called notice is only for the limited topic, not for the inquiry. So whether the claim is from the bogus, whether the claim is from the. So another investigation, but on the same government also conduct the investigation.
Inquiry kar sakte.
So we are not under the self-check also.
No, here also very clear.
When exception notice, still the investigation can be done.
That. So if the so-cause notice, say suppose you have obtained the benefit from the 25 parties and so-cause notice speaks about only 5 parties. Okay, say take in this manner. So 5 parties is seized by central authority. They have to conclude that one. Or it is their will and pleasure agar unhone transfer kiya to. Nahi to nahi. 5 is seized by them. Balance 20 is open. And some rate of tax ki bhi ghotla hai. So that is also open. Some other matters, you have claimed wrongful refund also. So that is open to other authorities. So far as that 5 parties in the so-cause notice which was issued very specifically, that is seized by them. So you cannot encroach in that area. That's what the provision circular as well as the judgment say. Now next. Next questions मेरा आपको है before I discuss. Interest कब लगेगा? Section 50 speaks about the interest. Interest when you have liable to pay, correct? आपका क्रेडिट लेजर में है, कैश लेजर में है, आप यूटिलाइज नहीं किए, पड़ा ही है इट इज, ठीक है? तो you have not utilized it. If utilized, तो अलग बात है. Not utilized पड़ा है. Now the questions came up liability की, whether interest attracts or not. So अपना thought ये है, in the government treasury the amount is lying, whether it is in the credit ledger shape or cash ledger shape. So government is enjoying the fruits. तो कुछ तो अमेंडमेंट लाए ना अपना सेक्शन 50 में, कैश लेजर से हाँ रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट लाए कि कैश लेजर में पड़ा अगर है तो भी इंटरेस्ट लगेगा, ऐसा ही है ना? एम आई राइट? हाँ, कैश लेजर से जो पेमेंट आप करते हैं उसके ऊपर इंटरेस्ट लगेगा. क्रेडिट लेजर में पड़ा है तो फर्स्ट क्रेडिट लेजर का एंटाइटलमेंट करो, करेक्ट? नहीं किया तुम कैश लेजर से दिया है, payment is made and that cash ledger is paid delayed by some days, then interest attracts. Am I right? So if credit cash में कब लाएंगे आप? When credit ledger is insufficient, then cash लाता है ना. Suppose credit ledger में भी पैसा पड़ा है और cash ledger से लाया और cash ledger से पेमेंट किए, then in such circumstances credit ledger में भारी रकम पड़ा है, then also whether interest is leviable. This is the question. So this judgment says something different. Madras High Court, in the matter of Grundfos Pumps India Private Limited, Groundforce Pumps India Limited, in writ petition number 23748 of 2020, and judgment is dated 13th March 2023. 13 March 2023, Madras High Court in Ground Force Pump India Private Limited. There they say the liability of interest is when actually use of the credit is made from the credit ledger. If it's still lying, you have not utilized, then in such circumstances, no interest attracts. So indirectly, ये कहना है कि कैश लेजर में भी भरे तो इंटरेस्ट नहीं लगेगा, ये है. Date of payment of tax. Suppose delay is there and you have paid from the cash ledger. In spite of the fact that your credit ledger shows sufficient funds.
Cash ledger.
No credit ledger, I'm saying.
No, it is not a credit ledger. This just from that I deposited money in the cash ledger, say 20th April.
20th.
Due date is for the 22nd.
Correct.
But I filed the return DD on say 30th April.
30th April.
So the date of the payment, the court says, it is the date on which you file the return,
Returns.
whereby you are adjusting your cash ledger utilized for the payment of the tax. So the date of the payment of tax is the 30th April and not the date of deposit into the cash ledger.
Cash ledger.
So as per section 58 is the rule.
Proviso.
As a rule, not proviso, rule is there. As per the rule, the date of the payment would be the date on which you file the return.
Adjusted.
Yeah, adjusted.
Directed to be adjusted. Offset.
So up to that is the date of the payment, interest is paid.
No, still, भले ये judgment is not covered. Suppose you are having a credit ledger balance.
ITC credit ledger को भूल जाओ, वो look like very clear हो गया. Now we are under the cash ledger. So the date of the payment of the tax spoken in section 49, there is the date of deposit in the cash ledger. But the rule says it is the date on filing of. So, I mean, it's a arguable for the.
Arguable matter is there. So, yes, yes. Cash ledger.
When you have taken ineligible ITC in the credit ledger.
Ineligible ITC credit ledger.
Without utilization, then there will be no interest. Which has been also held by
Patna High Court.
This is not codified law itself. Yeah. Taken in utilization.
Means the date of adjustment by you is to be taken as the date of payment.
Outward check is different than ITC.
कोई क्वेश्चन है मेरी, इफ इनफ बैलेंस ऑफ क्रेडिट लेजर है तो क्या होगा, फिर भी तुमको लगेगा क्या, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट के पास तो क्रेडिट लेजर, बट इन माय ओपिनियन यू हैव नॉट डायरेक्टेड टू एडजस्ट इट फ्रॉम क्रेडिट लेजर.
Outward tax paper, then you have to adjust that is the date of payment. And in case of reversal of ITC, if you are not initiated,
No, ये let us see the development of.
Sir, can I take a question on interest?
Hmm.
One question on interest.
Yes.
In a case where the refund application was made for.
Refund application was made.
Yes, for the refund of excess ITC lying in the credit ledger unutilized against exports without or against LUT.
Unutilized, well, ITC is available, export, therefore you are eligible to claim
Yes.
refund. Okay.
As per circular 135, what all list of documents has to be submitted and.
Mechanism is provided.
Mechanism is provided. Now, even after the mechanism is provided and the officer grants a refund, which according to the audit authorities is in excess of something.
Okay.
Say for example, the refund was made for 33 lakhs. Officer granted 33 lakhs after verification of all the documentary evidence. And then in audit, it is stated that 6 lakh of excess ITC has been
Claim.
refunded. It should have been 26, 27 lakhs and not 33 lakhs.
Therefore, pay back 6 lakh rupees along with interest.
Yes.
So now from which date the interest is to be computed? So
The question is, the amount which is coming to me is from my credit ledger. the amount which I will be paying back to the department will also go back to my credit ledger only. It is not going to the government.
So why interest I will have to
Exactly.
suffer? That is the case. Balance is there already available.
Yes, and why the dealer should be punished for the interest when it is the mistake of the authority and written record? That is, it is his calculation error.
Their argument may be then in such circumstances मैं तुम्हारा पूरा जन्म कुंडली पकड़ के मैं सब चेक करके बैठूं क्या कितना किया यूटिलाइज और नहीं किया है that may be they will come कि once you have taken the refund whether you have utilized or not that is not within my prerogative ऐसा बोलेंगे वो.
But that can be verified. If it is not utilized, then they can refine, utilize then yes.
रिफंड तो कैश देते हैं ना आपको तो फिर वो किधर आता है क्रेडिट लेजर
हाँ, सर कैश जो दिया अभी 6 लाख जो मेरे से वापस लेंगे that will go back to my credit ledger because that is coming from credit ledger to me.
बट दे हैव पेड कैश नो बैक. तो अगर 15 दिन पहले आपको दिए होंगे कैश तो 15 दिन ही आपके पास कैश यूटिलाइजेशन के लिए मिल गया है. 10 मिनट्स ही अभी 10 मिनट ही है मुझे और 2 जजमेंट खत्म करने दो फिर बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे बार में बैठ के. Correct. Now recently one judgment came from the Gujarat High Court that is in the matter of approval and signature. So I'm very sorry. In the matter of Pardiwala's judgments. Munjal Manish Bhatt versus Union of India. Munjal Manish Bhai Bhatt versus Union of India in writ petition number 68 civil applications number 6840 of 2021 and the judgment is dated 6th May 2022. 1/3 land deductions. 1/3 land deductions which is provided under the act. 1/3 value of the land, whether that mechanism. अगर आप देखिए क्वेश्चन क्या है, if you able to determine the proper value of the land, then whether this 1/3 value determinations cyclostyled to each and every case, whether valid or not, this questions came up. So Gujarat High Court has decided in the favor of the petitioner, saying that if you are able to identify clearly, then in such circumstances, then 1/3 is not applicable. In fact, that value which you have decided, कहीं कहीं वैल्यू बहुत ज्यादा रहता है, ये क्लेम किया है. But to what extent this judgment is correct or not, if you read L&T's judgment, they said that it is the wisdom of the legislature. Each and every case identify कर सकते हैं कि नहीं कर सकते हैं, that is in doubt. So एक cyclostyled formula they have granted to you, 1/3 land deductions will be given. But lacuna is that the language used in that notification is that 1/3 is will be determined only if it is not identifiable. I mean, you cannot be ascertained. If it is unascertained, then 1/3 will be applicable. If you are able to ascertain the particular value, then that land deduction is required to be made. That was the claim. So this is an important judgment and definitely it will reach to the Supreme Court. तो ये एक important judgment है. Outside का कुछ questions है, then we will take. और भी बहुत सारे judgment है, but time doesn't permit. Any? Yes, Subodh bhai. 16(4). That various courts, including Jharkhand court, Madras court, they have denied. वो जो टाइम लिमिट के 3B के बात कर रहे हैं ना, 16(4) की 3B में ITC in respect of the ITC मिलेगा ही नहीं if the other person has not filed his return. ये सब है ना. Beyond the time limit. वही है ना, एक दिन भी डिले किया तो भी सामने वाला देन दोनों क्वेश्चन है तो भी नहीं मिलेगा, ऐसा मद्रास हाईकोर्ट ने बोले। अगर लेजिस्लेचर ने आईटीसी, देखिए ऑल दी जजमेंट्स आर कंक्लूडेड इन द बेसिस ऑफ महालक्ष्मी की जजमेंट। महालक्ष्मी में क्या बोले, नहीं आईटीसी प्रिंसिपल, आईटीसी इज नॉट योर मैटर ऑफ राइट। सबसे बड़ी चीज है कि आईटीसी इज नॉट ए मैटर ऑफ, इट इज ए कंसेशन एंड बेनिफिट गिवन टू यू। वंस ए कंसेशन एंड बेनिफिट इज गिवन टू यू, देन various conditions and restrictions can be imposed by the tax administrative authorities. If you are not following those, I mean restrictions, if you are not complying those restrictions and conditions, then you are not eligible. So it is not a matter of right altogether. So वो context में अगर आप 16(4) को enter करेंगे तो मद्रास हाई कोर्ट ने डिनाई किया, झारखंड हाई कोर्ट भी डिनाई किया। If your payment is not receiving, that is a different 182 days के अंदर अगर पेमेंट नहीं मिला है, then it is to be reversed by them. उसके लिए तो सेपरेट मैकेनिज्म है ना आपका कंप्लायंसेस में। 182 में नहीं मिला तो अलग से कुछ है ना जनरल भाई, रिवर्स करना है, देन सो वो सेपरेट मैकेनिज्म प्रोसीजर है। देन ये जो बात कर रहे हैं 16(4) की, हाँ वो तो बहुत बड़ा टॉपिक है। और कोई बाहर से कोई आया है वरीश? ये किधर गए प्रवीण? मैं इधर देखा ही नहीं है क्या हो रहा है, बिकॉज आई एम नॉट वेल वर्स्ड विथ ऑल दिस। देखो ना जरा क्या है। मेरा टॉपिक जजमेंट है, मैं तो आर्टिकल लिखा है, 2-3 आर्टिकल लिखा है इसके ऊपर, ऑलरेडी आपका रिव्यू में है। पुराना जजमेंट सब कोट किया, प्रीव्यू काउंसिल से लेके ये का था, लेकिन अभी आना चाहिए ना एमआईडीसी की जो। हाँ खाली देखिए सर, वो आर्टिकल पढ़िए, फिर देन वो क्या है, वो टॉपिक कभी देंगे, देन अभी बहुत सारे नोटिस आया है, चल रहा है अभी झगड़ा बहुत सारे में। रजत भाई क्या पूछेंगे, वो सब जानते हैं, लेकिन वो क्या है, मेरी टेस्ट कर रहा है रजत भाई। रजत भाई यू आर देयर रजत भाई? हाँ धवल भाई को लड़का को हुआ।
सर
रजत भाई क्या टेस्ट ले रहे लो?
अरे भाई कोई टेस्ट नहीं है सर।
हाँ.
When we are talking about interest,
Right.
whether the interest can be levied only cases
Utilized
where
person, utilized.
utilization, that is one part.
Yes.
Claiming of ITC and utilization thereof. If I am continuously maintaining balance but not utilize it, no interest is payable.
Interest is
That is one aspect of interest.
Correct.
There are cases where when we after the amendment, the interest is payable only in a case where the same is delayedly paid on the cash component.
Cash component, correct.
Correct. Now, the small point is, I am allowed to pay my DRC03 admission of liability through the electronic credit ledger balance.
Correct.
Correct. Now, if I were to pay the DRC03 dues through the electronic credit ledger, am I supposed to pay interest on such delayed amount? Because if I were to read rule 88B, that is where there is a challenge. It appears to me that this interest is payable, not payable only in cases where it is arising out of admitted dues as per the returns filed, which is delayed.
Correct.
So what I'm trying to bring out the issue is, sir, is payment of tax dues through DRC03 utilizing the credit balance, can I save my interest because it is utilized through my cash balance, credit balance, and not paid through cash? I mean, reading rule 88B.
in my opinion, if credit ledger sufficient balance is there,
All through.
I'm still that all through interest is not at all liable, but we are restricted to the judgment which Madras High Court has given. I am restricting to myself to that, but my personal opinion is asked, then I will say that if a sufficient balance is available in the credit ledger, then sufficient fund is available with the department, with the treasury. Therefore, no, even if I have not adjusted, then I should not supposed to pay. I will argue also that matter.
Yeah, sir. I similarly argued
On
the
the
matter,
credit
but
ledger.
the first.
Cash ledger different. Cash ledger is different. If insufficient credit ledger is there, then you are bringing cash, late cash, then interest is attracted. But if you have a sufficiently credit ledger, sufficient fund, whether you have adjusted it not, government has encroached into the funds of yours, which is showing in your balance, they can't take interest. That I will argue also.
Sir,
Some matters are going-
Sanvet credit, similar provision was there, and there are favorable decisions under the Sanvet rules. So
Sanvet.
that is being cited, but because of this specific rule 88B, the
B.
adjudicating officers and possibly the first appeal officers, state as well as center, has been have been
Disallowed.
demanding interest in cash on such cases also. So I thought that since we are talking
I
about
have
this,
already challenged one order of Madhya Pradesh authority in one of the matter, and one of the Rajasthan authority I have already in challenge.
Okay.
So
all
for
right.
this issue is concerned, I'm contesting also against the so called notice adjudication order passed, appeal challenged, then once appeal is made, then I will go directly to the rate.
Yes, sir.
The
We'll
same
await
issue,
your
very-
judgment. I'm also fighting it. I will await your written judgment.
Yes, sir, yes.
All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Any other nine? Sir, can you, we conclude? Thank you very much. You, our outside participants as well as the participants over here patiently, I mean, ये चाय का टाइम है, नींद की टाइम है थोड़ा. Thank you very much. Thank you, Goswami sir, for granting me this opportunity.